So today's topic is depression, and I know a lot of you don't like to talk about it because it is a very personal topic, and I completely understand, okay? I dealt with depression growing up my entire life, but the depression I'm going to talk to you about today exists in the world of entrepreneurship, okay? And I know a lot of you entrepreneurs out there don't understand why you might feel down or sad a lot of times. And I'm going to explain why, because I deal with this exact same depression almost every single year, okay? And I say year because it comes and goes, but when I was younger, I dealt with it a lot more because I didn't understand why I felt the way that I felt, all right? So if you guys like this video or find any kind of value, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so that I can keep growing and pass on the message to help others, both on the professional side and on the personal level. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. So my name is Maury Diaz and I help people with professional and personal development. Okay, I'm no kind of professional doctor or anything like that. I'm not a psychologist, but I am someone that has a lot of life experience at a very young age, okay? I'm only 31 years old. I just turned 31, 2 days ago? So happy birthday to me, right? Anyways, I have a lot of experience both from law enforcement, from different career fields that I attempted growing up, and you know, I can share a lot of things with you that I went through to hopefully help you guys with your depression, okay? So growing up, I dealt with depression a lot, and I know some of you guys have dealt with it as well, and maybe you thought you needed a doctor, you needed medication, you needed something else to get through it. But what I did, it might not work for you, but it worked for me, okay? I didn't seek any medical help. I didn't take any medication for it. I actually just rolled through the punches, and honestly, the worst part about it is not knowing why I felt the way I felt. And when I started to realize that the reason I was feeling the way I was feeling, then I started to understand ways to cope with it and actually move on. So I started noticing that I had a pattern, okay? When I would try new things as an entrepreneur, which a lot of you guys are, when you try new things and they don't work out, you automatically shut yourself down. And I did this a lot, okay? Growing up, I wanted to be a lot of things. In high school, I played baseball. Baseball was my entire life, okay? I didn't just play it in high school. I played it in middle school. I played it out on the rec leagues with the Dominican teams. I am from the Dominican Republic, so baseball, it's in my blood. I played it so much, okay? So I played it in middle school. I played it in high school. And my intent was to go professional, okay? I played third base and I mainly focused on pitching. So when I started messing up in school, baseball was taken away from me. You know, obviously school comes first, but to me, baseball was everything. So, and I ended up dropping out of high school, which to me was one of the worst decisions I ever made. But since I am someone that likes to adapt and can change very quickly, I was able to make it through, okay? And I don't recommend anyone leaving school or anything like that, but if it's something you absolutely have to do, make sure you at least get your GED so that you can actually move on in your life, okay? So anyways, I dropped out of high school because I wasn't able to play baseball anymore, which is the reason I even went to school. That was literally my whole reason behind going to school, was to play baseball, go to college, and then go to the MLB, okay? So when that was taken away from me, I just gave up on school, and I honestly should have continued on. Who knows where I could have been, okay? Anyways, I dropped out of high school, stopped playing baseball, and then I started working, okay? I was working just any little job I could find. I started working in. I was cleaning toilets at the World Congress Center down in Atlanta, which is just a trade center where people will come and do trade shows. I would clean every single night from 10 at night to 8 in the morning. I didn't see myself doing this all of my life, okay? So I decided to go back to school, got my GED, and I actually had something under my belt education-wise where I could move on with my life, okay? Although I left high school. So my next big thing was being a music artist, which I started around the age of 14, which I was already in it when I was playing baseball, but not really in it, if that makes any sense. As an entrepreneur, I was in a lot of things mentally, but physically, I was only able to do one thing at a time. And that was one of my biggest issues because I wanted to do everything that I thought about in real life. I wanted to do it all at once. I didn't want to take turns doing each individual thing because I felt like I was running out of time, and that was my biggest thing that was causing my depression. When I noticed that I couldn't do everything that I wanted to do, it actually hurt me a lot, and I got very depressed. And that is the way that I always lived growing up, just being depressed because I couldn't do everything I wanted to do. All right, so baseball was taken away, brought me down to a really bad depression. Okay, and it wasn't taken away because it was someone else's fault. It was taken away because of me. Okay, I lacked in school. I wasn't doing good in math, so baseball was taken away. I wasn't being played more or anything like that, so I dropped out. Okay, and you know what's really crazy is that I used to play baseball with Quavo, which is part of the Migos. You guys probably know him. I used to play baseball with him for 2 seasons at Berkmar. All right, so when I was a little older and I got to see that he made it, to a successful level, I got very happy for him. It's cool to see because I was actually next to him in the locker rooms, and I knew that someone that was close to me made it to the success level that I want to make it to one day. All right, so that served as motivation when I was in baseball. And that still stays with me right now. Okay, so I know it's a little sidetrack story, but it's just a fun fact so that you guys can see that no matter where you are in your life, you can always make it somewhere. Okay, so Quavo was able to make it, and I believe I can make it. So I'm not comparing myself with him at all because he has his own professional career and I have my own dreams and aspirations. So growing up, obviously I stopped baseball and I started working, got my GED, and then I moved into trying to be a music artist full time. Okay, so when I was around 16, 17, I really started focusing on my music career. Now, when I was doing music, I didn't have the financial stability to be able to support myself as a music artist. And a lot of you guys that are in music understand this, that without some kind of financial background, at least back when I was doing music, you're really not going to be able to make it too far. Okay, social media wasn't that big of a deal yet. As far as going viral, people were just starting to figure it out. Soulja Boy was able to figure it out. Not many people had the success that he had. So when I was trying it out, it was very difficult to do it without the money or having a studio behind you or anything like that. And it's not anyone else's fault but mine. I should have been smarter on the way that I promoted myself. I should have been smarter on the way that I used social media to my advantage, but I was lacking the mentality. I was just all hounded into my own world, thinking that someone was out to get me, and it's not like that. So that is literally where I'm at when I'm doing music. So I continue music, although I wasn't having that much success. I continued the music, and when I was around 19 years old, I actually had a bad accident at work. At this point in my life, I was already with my wife, which was my girlfriend at the time. So I had an accident where, if you guys see here on my hand, I lost portions of my fingers. Okay, and you can see I have very long fingers, so you can't really tell unless I do this. But this is to show you that life is going to throw obstacles at you that you have to overcome. So when this happened to me, I was very immature. At this point, I was trying to do music. I had already left baseball. I had already left school. I at least had my GED. So I was very immature. I still thought that the whole world owed me something. I thought that I was invincible. I thought that I was untouchable. I thought that I could do whatever it was I wanted to do and do it at the time that I wanted to do it. But I had to learn a very valuable lesson, that things come at their own time. Okay, so this happened to me, and it really helped me mature. Okay, to know and understand that I am not invincible, I'm not untouchable, I'm actually human just like everybody else. Okay, and I share all of this with you because it all takes part in my depression. All right, depression grew into something that was a norm for me. Okay, I will go to sleep crying sometimes in the pitch black, listening to sad songs on YouTube so that I can make myself cry and feel better, okay? And I did this all the way growing up until I was like 19 or 20, all right? So when this accident happened, I actually decided, hey, I want to do something bigger for myself. I want to do something that's not normal. So my next thing was to become a Marine. Becoming a Marine was something that became a very big passion of mine, okay? Obviously, I grew up playing video games as well. I played a lot of Army games, a lot of military games, and I thought to myself, man, I could probably be in the military. Obviously, that's how everybody starts, right? So I wanted to be in the Marines, and I chose the Marines because all I wanted was infantry. All I wanted to do was be in the front lines, go in, fight, and that's it. Because I really, in my mind, I had nothing else to lose, okay? And my mentality was just go out, go to war. If I die, I die. Literally, that was my mentality. And the reason why I didn't care about dying is because my depression was so deep that I didn't really care if my life was lost or not. At least it was going to be lost in a positive way and not just by committing suicide, which would have led to that if I continued the way that I was, to be honest with you. And I know it sounds scary to even think about it, but when you have that kind of mindset and you have all this just crumbling down on you, it's hard not to think about it. But I hopefully am serving as some kind of hope for you guys that are in it right now, to know that you can make it through and you don't have to be stuck in that depression, okay? Because if I could do it with no medication or any doctor or anything like that, I'm sure you guys can do it. And it's just a way of growing out of it, okay? So I'm talking to you guys without any kind of script or anything like that. I wrote some things down, but I can't keep track of it, to be honest with you. So I'm talking to you straight from my mind and letting you know step by step what I did, okay? So when I tried to join the Marines, going back to that, I tried to join the Marines, and I honestly had my fingers accident had just happened about a year before that. So I went to the recruiter. I passed the ASVAB barely because I was not smart. I'm not book smart. I have a lot of common sense, but I am not book smart. So I passed the ASVAB and talked to my recruiter, everything. I started working out with the poolies, which the poolies is what they call Marines before they get sent out to their boot camp or training, whatever. So they get sent out to MEPS, and then MEPS clears you, gives you the medical clearance so that you can move on and get a ship out date for boot camp. So I was in the process of working out with the poolies. I was already working out and everything. And although I was already working out with them, MEPS did not clear me. MEPS did not clear me at all because of my fingers, okay? I waited an entire year to get cleared by MEPS so that I could get a ship date to go into boot camp, okay? So I'm 20 years old. I was 19 when I applied and did the ASVAB and everything. Here I am at 20 years old waiting for MEPS to clear me, which they never did, okay? My recruiter didn't know why or anything like that. They did mention at first that maybe my fingers were gonna be an issue. So I had to get a letter from my therapist clearing me, saying that, hey, he passed all of his tests as far as gaining motion and sensitive or whatever the sense touch that I had to do through the therapy. They signed off on it, wrote a professional letter and everything, and I submitted it to MEPS and nothing happened, okay? So I got the letter and all, and even then MEPS didn't clear me. So what I ended up doing is, after an entire year of waiting and the recruiter not having any answers for me, I decided to just leave that behind. And that really hit me hard as well, because again, it was something else, a passion, a dream that I wanted to accomplish that I was not able to make a reality, okay? I knew growing up that I wanted to be something big. I knew that I could be someone bigger than what I am now. And that is honestly all I ever wanted to do, was be someone that I aspired to be someone bigger than just a normal person. I left the Marine dream behind, okay? And honestly, if I was given the opportunity, I would have taken it even after I stopped pursuing it. But I left that behind and I moved into what would be the next portion of my life for about 8 years, and that is law enforcement. So I joined law enforcement when I was 21. I was 20 at the time, but I was 21 when I graduated the academy. Okay, and when I graduated the academy, I got my badge, got my gun and everything, and I did it for 8 years. Now, these will be very challenging years for me because I dealt with a lot of suppression. And I'm not talking about suppression because of my race or anything like that. I'm talking about suppression because of the career field that I chose. So obviously I was still doing music throughout this entire time, through my 19s, through my 20s, pretty much till my early to mid 20s, I was still doing music. But a lot of it was limited because of the profession that I chose, okay? At the time, no one really liked police officers, and till this day, police officers are not very liked. So music revolves around being liked. So it was kind of difficult for me to do music when people don't really like your profession just because of what you wear. And that was very sad for me because it's another dream that was being kept back from me just because of the profession I chose, which honestly, I was trying to be a Marine before I was trying to be a police officer. But being a police officer was the closest thing I had to the military. So I ended up pursuing that career, did it for 8 years. And again, I was suppressed for 8 entire years on what I wanted to do, which was music. So when I noticed that music was going to be an issue as a police officer, I left music behind. And that was one of the toughest things I could have done because I've already recorded several songs. I had a music video that I recorded as well. I took endless travels to different states. I went to Dominican Republic to record with a professional producer and everything. I was trying my hardest to make it in the music industry. I still have my songs on Spotify. I have them on Apple Music and everything like that. So everything that I'm telling you right now, you can actually go out and find. And I'll probably link it in the description if you guys want to see it. But I legit went through all these motions to try and make it to where I wanted to be. So when I noticed that music wasn't going to work because of my profession, I left it behind. And again, this packed on to my depression, which it did not help at all, okay? And depression, again, was something that I was already coping with. I understood it and knew why I was being depressed. But when I had to leave music behind, it really brought me into a dark side, okay? And I never let my depression be seen by anyone else. I never took it out on anyone else. I handled it internally on my own, okay? So I took it out on myself, which I know it's not healthy. For some of you guys, it might be healthy to talk to someone. It might be healthy for you to get on medication, but again, I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what to do. I'm only sharing my personal experience because it might help you out. And again, this channel is all about providing value. And if I can help you in some kind of way by sharing my story, I'm going to share it with you, okay? So again, I left music behind. I'm still in law enforcement. And what else do I possibly have left to do that I haven't tried already and failed at, okay? I knew that I wanted to be someone that is not your normal person, and I wanted to be successful, okay? So baseball didn't work, music didn't work, the Marines didn't work. So what else am I gonna do, okay? Knowing that I have this entrepreneur mindset, I decided, hey, I'm gonna really focus on business. When I was 25 years old, I started a company. It was an event. It's an event rental company. So we do the commercial tents for weddings, corporate events, and everything like that. We do the tables, chairs, linens. We do the lighting and everything like that. So I focused on that company, and obviously I'm still an officer at this time, but I started that company around 25, 26 years old, and I still have that company to this day. I'm 31 years old. I just turned 31 2 days ago. So I've been doing that for a while now. When I was 20, I believe I was 29. Yeah, I believe I was 29. I made the decision to leave law enforcement. And this right here was probably the biggest shift in my entire life because it was a risk that I had to take that was extremely risky because at this point I already have my wife, I have my daughters, and I have to make sure that this works. Okay, so I left law enforcement to go into car sales. And I know it's crazy, but I felt like it was the right move at the time. And honestly, I feel like I made the right decision because I was no longer being held back by my profession, which was policing. Okay, being in law enforcement requires a lot of dedication, and I have utmost respect for every single officer that's out on the road. I know exactly what you're dealing with. I know what it's like to be on the road and not be liked. And for those of you that don't take it serious as a law enforcement officer, I do recommend you just leave the profession because it hinders those that are doing the right things. If you're not doing the right things, just leave. All right, enough for my side rant. The best decision I made was leaving law enforcement, not because I didn't like it, but because of where I wanted to go. So I left law enforcement and I got into car sales. Now, commission-based work is very stressful sometimes because if you don't sell or if you don't earn that commission, you're not being paid, okay? So I left a comfortable paying position into a full-time commission-based work. And I know all of this might not make any sense as to why I'm telling you this when the whole topic is about depression. I'm telling you this so that you understand what the mentality of an entrepreneur that had depression and that knows how to deal with depression, what the process and thought process is behind everything, okay? So I left law enforcement, got into car sales, and I've been doing great since then, okay? So financially, I've set up in a way where my family's good. We have everything that we want. We have a beautiful home. We have the cars that we want. Obviously, we don't have $1 million home or anything like that, but we live a very comfortable life because of the decision that I made. So my depression, it's something that I've learned to cope with. So what I want you guys to get out of this whole video is that dealing with depression and coping with it is completely normal, okay? Especially as an entrepreneur, you guys are going to deal with depression no matter if you want to or not. It's something that's going to pop up in your life unexpectedly, okay? So I share all of this story with you so that you guys understand that you can make it out of it without any medication, without any doctor if you choose to, but if you do need to, go ahead and seek professional help. So adapting is the biggest way to deal with your depression. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to adapt, okay? You have to know how to narrow down a path. So my way of narrowing a path is to be successful, to be financially free, and not just because I want to be rich. Yes, I want to be, but it's not just because of the money. I'm actually wanting to be financially free so that my family is set, so that I'm set, and so that I can actually enjoy the only amount of time I have on this earth, okay? Because we don't have unlimited time. We actually have a very limited time on this earth. And if I have enough money to where I don't have to work for someone and I can actually just focus on living my life and helping others get to where they want to get to, that is my main purpose, okay? So when I learned that that was my purpose, is when I started this channel, when I started to create content, when I started to focus on what I really wanted to do, when I started taking bigger risks, like leaving law enforcement. That was a huge risk that most normal people wouldn't take. But if I want to get to where I want to get to, I have to make these drastic decisions, okay? So guys, at the end of the day, what I wanted to let you know is that knowing how to adapt to your changes in your life, knowing that not everything that you put your mind to is going to happen right away, is going to be the best way that you will deal with your depression, okay? And that is what has helped me throughout this entire journey. I'm not perfect. I'm human, just like every single one of you guys. And if you guys can find a way to cope with it, then you guys will be just fine, okay? Without further ado, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next video.